So welcome everyone. I am Ellen Hurst. I am the director of the Alabama CARES program at East Alabama Planning Commission's Area Agency on Aging. We are so glad that you're here. I always feel every month that these seats all should be full because this is free information and great door prizes, because I know that you guys love our door prizes. So I appreciate all our vendors that are here. It's hit or miss every month. Sometimes we have 8 people, sometimes we have 20 people. I think at the holidays we had close to 100 people. So just to let you know, I do appreciate each and every one of you guys sticking with me and being here, because I think it's a wonderful thing that our people can come in from the communities, come in and you're here and they have the opportunity to talk to you, speak to you, ask questions, that kind of thing, because I'm 100% all for free resources and free education. With that being said, MJ's up there. He is with WEAC TV 24. He is actually going to be filming this. He does this every month, and it is shown on WEAC TV 24. You can go back and watch it on the Facebook page, on YouTube, so forth. And it is aired 3 days a week for a 30-minute show. So you could go back and watch it if you missed something. The bad thing about that is, though, tell your friends about it, because even though they can watch a 30-minute show, they're missing the whole thing because they're not here for the whole thing. So they're missing the door prizes. And our speaker today will be actually cooking something that you can taste. So they'll be missing that too. So this is actually March is National Nutrition Month. So I know it's things that you guys probably don't want to talk about, you know, diet and exercise, right? the dreaded words. But it's something we all have to talk about, because you only get one body, right? And you got to take care of it. So I am going to let Mandy take over. She's going to talk to you about nutrition, the importance of nutrition, and things that you should do, shouldn't do, that kind of thing. And then she's also going to be cooking some things that we're not used to eating, maybe, that you may have never heard of, that's actually good for you. So please be interactive with her. If you have any questions, please ask. That's what she wants. So she wants you to interact with her. So please ask questions. She is wonderful. She is full of knowledge. I learned a lot from her. She was on my TV show a few weeks ago, and I learned a lot from her. So please make sure that you interact with her too.
All right, so my name's Mandy Williams. I'm a registered dietitian. I've been a dietitian for about 10 years. I've been working in the food industry since I was 15 years old. Since you don't know how old I am, you don't know how long that is, but it's more than 10 years. It's a little while. But I love it. I love food. I love talking about how we can eat healthier food. I love talking about how we can eat more plants. So plants is anything from the oats and rice to veggies, nuts and seeds. Those are all plants. Obviously, they don't come from animals, so that's what makes them plants, right? So the plant foods are a great source of vitamins, minerals. We can also get protein from them, fat from them, carbohydrates. It's a great source of everything we need to be a healthy human being. So today, I wanted to kind of show you some ingredients that maybe you're not used to cooking, and show you how quick they can cook. Let me get my fire going here. All right, so I'm gonna make what's called a red lentil quinoa bowl. Some people call them Buddha bowls. I love the bowls because they're super easy and fast. You can do your grain. So our grain today is gonna be quinoa. Some of y'all probably don't even know how to pronounce that before. It's got the Quinoa, that's quinoa. It's not a sexy name, but it's a great food. And then we have red lentils. So there's a lot of different types of lentils. There's red, brown, green. Red lentils are very quick cooking. Quinoa cooks in about 15-20 minutes. Red lentils cook in about 15-20 minutes. The green and the brown lentils, they take a little bit longer, probably closer to 45 minutes. So for this, since we want to do, I must burn myself there, since we want to do a quick cooking meal, we're going to use the red lentils. So I got to get my water boiling here. So we're going to do the red lentils in the quinoa. Once that gets boiling, we're going to throw it in and let it cook together. So the recipe I'm using today, I just want to give a shout out where it's due, is from Running on Real Food. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about her recipes, check out runningonrealfood.com. So while the water is boiling, we'll get started chopping our veggies. One thing I love about cooking too is you can personalize it to what equipment you have to make it easier for you or faster. So the recipe says to roast the broccoli and the carrots, but obviously I don't have a whole oven here, so I can't roast the broccoli and the carrots. So I'm gonna stir fry it, and that's gonna make it still cook and have a crisp texture to it, but we're also gonna be able to get a little bit of char to it as well once that once it boils down a little bit. So let me get the olive oil going here. Y'all don't critique my knife skills. I did not go to culinary school, so I'm not good at the claw, but I haven't really cut myself yet, so hopefully I didn't just jinx myself. So actually I'm gonna dice up my onion first. I love onion. The recipe doesn't necessarily call for onions, but I think whenever you're cooking something, the onion just adds a lot of extra flavor, antioxidants, just a good way to get a little bit more flavor without having to add salt to it. So salt, also known as sodium, is something most Americans get plenty of in their diets. So we don't necessarily need to be adding a whole lot more. And when you cook at home, you're using a lot less, you're gonna consume a lot less sodium than if you were to be, see, don't look, I don't have the claw going, don't look. So when you cook at home, you're gonna be consuming a lot less sodium anyways, because the food at restaurants, fast food, even if it's a fancier place, it's still gonna have a bit more sodium because they don't want their ingredients to go bad. And the two things that typically are used to keep food fresh are gonna be salt or sugar. So we don't want extra of any of that in our diet. So the onions take a little bit longer to saute, so they're gonna go in first. And I see steam coming out from under our lid over there, so we're gonna get our lentils and quinoa going in the bowls. How many of y'all have tried quinoa before? Oh, good, good. It's not completely foreign then. What about red lentils? Okay. Well, hopefully y'all will be able to try this in a little while and enjoy it. So another thing the recipe says is to cook the red lentils in a pot and the quinoa in a pot. As much as I love cooking, I don't love doing a lot of dishes. So when I was looking at the recipe, I saw that they have the same cooking time. So I was like, well, why do I need to cook them in two separate pots then, right? If they're gonna take the same amount of time. So I just decided to experiment, throw them in the pot together, and it works just fine. So if you're like me and you don't want to do the extra dishes, throw it in the pot together, you'll be good. All right, so we're gonna get that going. Let me start my timer. It should take about 15 minutes, but we're also gonna keep an eye on it because sometimes it cooks faster. As that water boils out, we wanna make sure we keep it stirred so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. I don't know if y'all can hear that sizzle from the onions, but that's one of my favorite sounds ever, is the sizzle of food cooking. All right, so we got our onions stirred up. Let's get our broccoli going. Actually, I changed my mind. We're gonna get our carrots going because the carrots take a little bit longer to cook. So again, the recipe says to use 4 to 5 whole carrots, but I love having baby carrots on hand because they're just so easy to snack on, dip in hummus, dip in peanut butter. I love peanut butter. So the baby carrots, and they're already washed and peeled. So having the baby carrots on hand is just an easy way to make a prep a little bit easier because you're just going to be cutting them in half. If they're thinner carrots, you don't necessarily have to cut them, but the skinnier they are, the faster they'll cook. All right. Does anybody want to come help cut some carrots? I got an extra knife. No? Okay. Yeah, you want to help? Come help. We're just cutting them in half. And where are you at?
Right here.
Okay. What's your name?
Kenya.
This is Kenya. Thank you, Kenya.
Hey y'all.
Just cut them in half like long ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you cut them in half, throw them, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I'm trying to chop you up. Just throw it over there in the wok.
In twos?
Yeah, just as you get them cut, we'll throw them in there together.
Oh, this knife.
It might help if you kind of start with the, kind of point down and go like that. How's it going? Is that better? Do you want to trade knives? Okay. And one thing that I always believe in the kitchen, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Bob Ross? Bob Ross. So you know his saying, there's no, no mistakes, just happy little accidents? That's the same thing in the kitchen. Like, we have a recipe and it's a guide for what we're doing, but sometimes the cake doesn't turn out right. It kind of crumbles as you're getting it out of the pan. We'll just turn that into a trifle, right? And I love falafel. I'm having a hard time getting the falafel to stick together. Like whenever I make falafel, it seems to just fall apart. I did have a wonderful intern named Salma. She told me the trick to making a good falafel, but it takes about 3 days. You want some more?
Up to you.
Okay, yeah. I can use all the help I can get. So with my falafel though, it always falls apart as I'm cooking it. So I just call it deconstructed falafel, right? And we just enjoy the flavor of the falafel. It's just not in that solid ball. So there's always, sometimes we have little mistakes that happen. It doesn't turn out the way we want it to, but very seldom do we have to waste the food. We can still turn it into something else. We'll give it a little stirs because we're getting a char. Okay, I think maybe 3 or 4 more of your carrots and we'll be great. All right. Any questions so far? No? All right. So then we're going to cut up the broccoli. You want to help with the broccoli too?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let me get that stalk out of your way.
What's that called about?
Okay. You do that stalk, I'll do this stalk. I kind of helped you a little bit. We want it kind of in bite-sized pieces just to make it easier to eat. So how many of y'all like broccoli slaw? Who had a question? Falafel? So falafel, it's like a Middle Eastern dish. It's made out of chickpeas and also known as garbanzo beans, and that has a lot of different herbs and spices. So it depends on which area of the Middle East that you go to. Some of them use a lot more cilantro and parsley. Some of them just keep it more traditional with just the chickpeas. But you soak the chickpeas overnight, get the dried chickpeas. Don't get the canned chickpeas, that was my problem. Get the dried chickpeas and soak them overnight, and then you pulse them in a food processor, and then you form them into a little ball with all the seasonings, and then You can fry them or air fry them. It's not necessarily a healthy dish, but it's really good. But it's one of my favorite like plant-based dishes. If you'll chop that one up a little bit more, and then we'll just start chunking them in there. But I don't know if there's many falafel places around Anniston and Oxford, but my favorite falafel ever that I've not gone to the Middle East and tried like the real falafel, but there's a restaurant in Birmingham called Eli's Jerusalem Grill. Best falafel ever. So if you want to try it, definitely go there. Otherwise, you can take 3 days and make it yourself. Ma'am? Oh, Publix has falafel? Like in the deli section? Oh, frozen. Okay. Okay, so Trader Joe's, Aldi's, Publix, they all have good falafel. Man, I was making this really hard by making it myself. It's so good. Well, I will definitely check it out. I'll also read my nutrition facts label and see how much sodium and all that other, okay, sorry, try not to knock you out. How much sodium is added in there.
You're doing this too, like you said, you've never even heard of it, but this is kind of open your eyes a little bit to different things, because Mandy and I were talking about this on the show about how in the South, how we fry everything.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, we fry Oreos.
Right, Twinkies.
So this is, a way that you can look at it to, do something that's a little bit more, healthier.
You good? I may need to turn it down a little bit.
Because we want you to be here a long time. Right?
Yes. Huh?
I said I'm having fun right now.
Oh, I appreciate your help. You're a wonderful assistant. Okay. Gotcha. All right, so while all that's cooking, the next thing we need to do is make the sauce. So the sauce is tahini based. Do y'all know what tahini is? It is ground what? Who said that? Yay, ground sesame seeds. So kind of like peanut butter, but made with sesame seeds. So one thing about tahini is you're almost always going to have to stir it. And I love peanut butter. I don't like the oil raised to the top peanut butter, but I discovered a trick and I wanted to share it with y'all because I just thought it was genius, and maybe I'll buy the other peanut butter. So what you do to stir your peanut butter, if it's in a jar like this, is you take your hand mixer and you put the one mixer in that's got the little notch on it there. You put it in there, and then you put that all the way down in the jar, very carefully, hold firmly to the jar, and turn this on low. And you just stir your peanut butter that way. So instead of like using, all your arm muscles and making a big old mess and all that, you just sit here and stir this with the one little blender, and in just a few minutes, it's all stirred up and delicious. And you just have to wash the one little beater instead of having peanut butter or tahini all over the place. So, yes, ma'am. The powder peanut butter. So, I use that in like a smoothie or in my oatmeal. I don't necessarily, I think it has directions on there where if you wanted to make it into like a peanut butter spread, I think it's like 2 tablespoons to 1 tablespoon of the powder and just mix it together. But I guess it depends. Ma'am? Well, so peanut butter is a fantastic food because it has carbs, fat, and protein, right? But it is heavy on the fat side of it. So it just depends on what your goal is. And that's the thing about the term healthy, is it all depends on what your goal is. So if you want like the powder peanut butter, I think has less fat. So if you're just wanting to get the protein, then that's where the powder peanut butter helps. But anytime you take something out of a food, they almost always put something back in it to make it taste better, right? So if you're buying a salad dressing and it says reduced fat because you're wanting to eat less fat for whatever reason, look at the sodium on it and compare it to the sodium on the other bottle of just the regular salad dressing. The sodium is probably a lot higher because there's a lot of flavor in fat. And if you take the fat out, you got to replace the flavor with something. So most of the time, sorry, the water's all boiled out, so we're going to turn that low. So most of the time, they replace the fat with some more salt or more sugar. How many of y'all have ever cooked with ground turkey? Did you notice how much more seasonings you had to add to it to make it taste as good as the ground beef? So there's a funny story with that. I was trying to make, I guess, a healthier sloppy joe. And so I used ground turkey. And my son took one bite out of it and he goes, "Oh, what is this, horse meat?" and would not eat any more of it. That's how I learned that you have to season your ground turkey a lot more than your ground beef. Sorry, it smells like we might be getting too much char going there. Okay, so curry is a great dish. You can you can make chicken, goat, chickpea, spinach. There's just so many different things you can do with curry. The curry powder, I just love the smell of it. Like as soon as I smell curry powder, I get hungry. It's just a delicious way to get a lot of good nutrients in there. It's got antioxidants. It's very similar to turmeric. Are y'all familiar with turmeric? Yeah, it's kind of gotten a lot of attention over the last few years as like an anti-inflammatory. So if you don't have curry powder, you can use the turmeric and get a very similar flavor profile. But curries are a wonderful, wonderful way to get some good flavor and just different dishes. You can do a curry with the red lentils, chickpeas. You can use almost any veggie you want, whether it's carrots or tomatoes or onions or peppers. It's just a very, very versatile dish. And then you can serve it over rice, or you can do it over quinoa, or any ancient grain. If you go to the grocery store, I love going to the grocery store and just checking out what they have new. So some of the other ancient grains that are out there are freekeh. It's F-R-E-E-K-E-H. It's very similar texture to like rice. Takes almost as long to cook, but it's a good grain if you want something different. Couscous, just lots of different grains out there that you can give a try. And one thing other that I would encourage you to do is if you have a chance to go to like an ethnic grocery store, go in it and check it out. So I know here in Oxford and Anniston, there's a couple of Asian markets. Go in there and just see what produce they have and see what spices they have, because it can definitely open up a whole different flavor palette for you. If you're also somebody that's interested in tofu, usually it's going to be cheaper at that Asian market than at the grocery store. Tempeh is something, how many of y'all know what tempeh is? She knows it all. Oh, you're plant-based? Oh, okay. So tempeh is fermented soy. So tofu is just like a processed soy. Tempeh is fermented and pressed. And I love the texture of it. There's a lot of different textures of tofu. You have the silken and the firm and extra firm and soft and all that. And just depending on what you're going to use it for, is what determines which one you buy. But tempeh is more solid and dense. If you are a meat eater, it gives you more of the texture of like a chicken or a pork chop. And you can use it in a stir fry. I made a Reuben tempeh sandwich. So instead of using like corned beef, you use the tempeh and you kind of marinate it in like a beef kind of flavored Obviously I'm not using beef, but it's different ingredients to make it have that savory flavor to it. And then put it with the salad dressing and the kraut and make like a Reuben sandwich with it. Very, very good. So definitely, if you're somebody that doesn't like tofu because of the texture, give tempeh a try. They have it at Publix. They have it probably, I don't know about Walmart. I know they have it at Publix, but they would most likely have it at the Asian supermarket too. So give that a try. And I think that goes for a lot of things. I know we talked about on the show, if you don't like Brussels sprouts, if you've only ever tried them boiled or steamed, then that's probably why you don't like them. If you roast them in the oven, oh my gosh, it just changes the flavor completely. Same thing with like broccoli, carrots, roasting them just adds so much more flavor. Yes, ma'am? Yes.
And one of my favorites is for anything like that, Brussels sprouts, toasted sesame oil and soy sauce. A little bit of that works wonders.
Yes. So she said that with tofu, it takes on the flavor that you marinate it with. So if you, whatever flavor you're wanting to go for, it has to marinate in that for usually at least an hour or so.
So if I put it in your wok or whatever.
Oh, okay. So just okay. So she does it with just in the sauce itself and cook it in the wok. I usually will marinate it in it, so it kind of, you cut it up into slices, it gets into every little nook and cranny of the tofu. But when you cook it like that, it just takes on that flavor. So if you've tried it before and it was just plain old tofu, that's probably another reason that you didn't like it. It's because it didn't have any flavor to it. And then what was the other thing? Oh yeah, and she mentioned sesame oil. Yes, toasted sesame oil. It has so much flavor. Just a little bit goes a long way. So like with this olive oil, I use 2 tablespoons in here, and to saute everything. If I was to use a sesame oil, that would be too much sesame oil. You would just use a little bit to get the flavor going. But yes, sesame oil has a lot of flavor, so especially if you're doing any kind of Asian cooking, that adds just so much more flavor to it. Anybody else? All right, well, I appreciate y'all interacting and letting me come demonstrate for you, and I will be happy to share some of the yummy foods with you. Oh no, if you don't mind eating with your fingers. I completely forgot about that. Maybe I can run to the concession stand and see if I can scrounge up some forks, or you can take it with you. So where do I find my recipes? I am a recipe junkie. I have cookbooks. I love Pinterest. Are you familiar with Pinterest? So I go on there, and if I have an ingredient in the refrigerator that I need to use, I just type that ingredient in and go looking, browsing, and before I know it, 2 hours is gone. Just really took to heart that there is no mistake when you're cooking. It was scary at first because food's not cheap. You don't want to mess it up and don't have to throw it away. So if you do mess it up a little bit, finding ways to make it still taste good and hopefully look pretty too, is just a fun way to utilize, the recipes and the foods, and just get in there and be creative. Cooking is an art, but it's also a science. There's tons of chemical reactions going on as we're cooking up here, but it's also, a labor of love. I love cooking for people, and so many of our memories are around our meals, so it's just a great way to show love and nourish ourselves, because we can't function without food.